Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome to another live episode of Game Time here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I'm one of your hosts. I'm the Outlaw, John Rocha, joined for the moment by my tag team partner, but also my sports brother in life, JT. How are you, man?
Good, man. I was curious, we were talking earlier what we're going to talk about, and then some news just broke, which hits me hard as a Patriots fan, and I can't wait to get into it and just talk about what might be happening.
Absolutely. And Winston A. Marshall will be joining us in just a few minutes. He is coming back from work, coming in hot, going to jump on the mic, set himself up, and then he'll join us. So look out for Winston A. Marshall certainly joining us today. And as JT said, we were it was kind of slow for sports news. The Masters, we'll get into that for sure. The Deshaun Watson updates in the NFL, we'll talk about that as well. And maybe touch on a little bit of the MLB stuff, some of that instant replay shit that's been going down. But overall, we wanted to kind of open the doors up to all of you who are watching us right now. And I'll repeat this as I go along. We're opening the door to Q&A. So we want to hear your questions, hear your thoughts, hear your comments. Yeah, you can send in Streamlabs Super Chats. Certainly, that'd be great to support the show. But overall, we just want to answer some questions from you all, have a little fun, have more of an interactive show for today for sure, as things are going to start ramping up really soon in the sports world for sure. But we'll get into all of that. Any NBA questions, Premier League questions. Some of y'all might have Wrestlemania questions. I mean, whatever it is you want to talk about, ask away. Jay Washington, unfortunately, told me right at the last minute he won't be able to join us today, so it'll be just be the three of us, but we'll leave the graphic up anyway, just give a little love for Jay for sure. All right, anyway, let's get into what you were talking about, and when Winston shows up, he will join us as well. And remember, up above JT's head and also in the description of this video, and I pinned it in the chat, that is the Streamlabs address. We like to get to about 200 every show if we can, so anything you can send in to support us and what we're doing here on the Game Time side of things would be great. All right, let's start off with our first news item here, and that is just broke a few minutes ago here on a number of places in the sports world. New England Patriots wide receiver Julian Edelman has been released by the team after a failed physical. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport was the one who's credited for breaking this news. The team announced it on its own news source as well. Edelman is 34, has played his entire 11-season career with the Patriots, winning 3 Super Bowls. He was even the MVP after catching 10 passes for 141 yards when they beat the Rams in 2019. That ugly Super Bowl. He's been one of the favorite targets of Tom Brady, and ESPN Patriots reporter Mike Reese was saying that Edelman has been contemplating retirement after undergoing knee surgery last year. So, JT, you're the New England Patriots fan. You're an NFL fan. Julian Edelman has been a part of your life for 11 seasons. You hear this news. Do you believe that he's going to retire, or do you think that this is something that might be worked out if he makes a move to Tampa Bay? What's your feeling?
Yeah, when I first heard this, immediately I thought, okay, he didn't play much of last year. He might be having some problems with his knee. He had surgery. Yeah. They already announced last week that he wouldn't be having a full season. And we're talking, we're still 5 months or so out from the next season. So at first, when I heard this, I said, okay, they just brought in all these free agents. Yep. They have a couple guys they can put in the slot. And also, Bird had a really good season last year, and his chemistry with Cam Newton was excellent. So, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, it's just what the Patriots are doing. They're moving on. They're starting fresh. The old, greats in Rob Gronkowski, Brady, Edelman, it's time for them to kind of go on. But then I read Mike Reese's report about this might be a precursor to him announcing his retirement, which to me makes a little more sense. Okay. Because I do feel like Edelman is the type who has been saying since day one, like even when Brady left to Tampa, he unfollowed Brady on Instagram for like a couple days. Wow. Like he was the one saying, he wanted Tom Brady to come back. I just feel like he just loves the Patriots and that he wants to retire as a Patriot. Mm-hmm. So, and that makes me obviously just feel better as a Patriots fan. Listen, I love that Gronk and Brady went on and won their Super Bowl. Good for them. I love those guys. But, I want somebody to retire as a Patriot, man. We can't get Gronk. we got you can't get Brady. Give us Edelman, man. Again, who knows? Maybe he will go to Tampa. I mean, he's not right now. If you go to Tampa, you're not gonna have to play every down. He's one of these people who comes in and just kind of. could just do like Antonio Brown did, come in halfway through the season and be there for when Brady needs him. The chemistry between Brady and Edelman is unparalleled. It's unparalleled. Wes Weckler, I'm saying his name. Wes Weckler was the guy that Brady, Welker, sorry. Welker was the guy that was like, that what Edelman became. And in my eyes, a lot of way exceeded his play, because I think Edelman came huge in the big moments. That Super Bowl 51 catch. He was the MVP. The MVP, like you said, against the Rams. He just, whenever the moment was the biggest, he seemed to step up.
Right. Was he the guy that Gisele Bundchen went after, or was that Welker for dropping that ball? Was that Welker?
That was Welker. That was Welker. That was against the second game against the Giants, and like if Welker caught that pass, Patriots probably go on to kill the clock, win the game. But yeah, Edelman
he was not happy. Yeah.
Like to me, I grew up, with the Patriots, and there was those great players like Collins, Ty Law, Randy Moss. There's all these great players. But like to me, the big three, the Brady, Gronk, and Edelman, that run that they had will probably go down as my favorite in my lifetime.
Wow!
I just love those three guys. They're each just amazing competitors. Edelman, if you watch like behind the scenes and like every year when the Patriots won the Super Bowl, I'd buy the DVD where they show you all the games and like the sound bites. Yeah. Edelman is he's a warrior out there. Gronk's much more of a fun, loose kind of guy. He was very much like Brady. Like they had one goal, and that was to win at any cost necessary. And he just had that same attitude. I think that's why him and Brady got along so well.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, you play with winners, you play with warriors. They understand how to play this game. And so that's the guy you want to have in your corner, but he's still pretty young after only 11 seasons. So
34.
Yeah, 34 years old. Maybe he could squeeze out a couple of seasons more, but knees on a receiver, man, that's a huge deal. Just like in a running back, it can be an issue for sure. Winston is here. Let me bring him in if he's ready to come in. You ready to come in, Winston? Yeah, you good? All right. Winston A. Marshall joins us now. Let me switch the brand out. Winston, I don't know if you heard the news coming in, but Wes Welker has been let go.
No. Julian Edelman.
Julian Edelman, has been let go by the New England Patriots.
I was like, you mean big-headed ass, helmet ass Wes Welker? Hadn't he retired? Like
Swag's like, what year are we? What year is it?
But what's your feeling on this? First of all, welcome to the show. Good to see you, brother man. And second, you're looking good. You're looking sharp. I like the haircut. You're looking on point.
You know what it is. I'm here like I done signed a goddamn contract in the NFL myself. God damn it. I'm good, man. Thank you for asking.
What do you think's happening here, man? He failed the physical, so the Patriots are going to let him go. There, ESPN is reporting that he might be retiring. But do you think this is a way of maybe like maneuvering a move to the Buccaneers to join Brady and Gronkowski? JT doesn't think so, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's just time. I mean, remember, he's been in the league for a while, and you're not playing like there are very few positions that are like, yeah, you can have longer than a decade in this game.
Yeah.
It's kickers, quarterbacks, and punters. Maybe long snappers, just because, like, yeah, they got to do a little bit of blocking, but their main thing is just getting the ball back there and nothing else. You know what I mean? Otherwise, This is not a game built, especially not one that is actively getting hit as hard as possible. It's not built for someone to do this forever. I've had God, now you got me saying Wes Welker. I've had Julian Edelman on a number of fantasy teams the last few years. Most of those years, he's out for a quarter to half the season just because he's already a small dude who initially didn't even come into football as a receiver. He transitioned when he wasn't quite good enough as a quarterback, and he was an incredible receiver, especially because of that whole mentality of, quarterbacks and receivers know routes best, and so that made it easy for him to get there as long as he had the athleticism to do what he needed to do.
He started as a punt returner.
Yeah,
when exactly. He first, and that's like I remember him being a great punt returner, and then I remember when they moved him to wide receiver, I was like, oh, okay, let's see what this guy has, and I was like, oh, he's amazing. And that's one. He's a great example of a Patriot player that was built up through the coaching system. Like again, he was a QB, I think, in college for a lot of years, and just to for Belichick to be like, you know what, Belichick loves special teams, and anytime you can find somebody that could work in special teams. And then to actually turn him into one of the best wide receivers in the game the past few years is just a testament to, I think, that whole organization.
I agree, and I genuinely just think there's a couple of things. The first is, and this is no slight on Belichick or the Patriots. Belichick makes it very simple. If you can't do what I need you to do, it's time for you to go. Yeah. And remember, he tried to do that with Brady a few years back. In his opinion, he was like, I'm done with Brady. Garoppolo's the answer. And Kraft was like, you can suck my dick. He ain't going nowhere. And it wasn't until Brady was like, I'm done, that relationship ended. Yeah. And so I think this is one of those situations where just Belichick's like, look, man, you ain't got the step, especially if you failed a physical. He's like, you ain't got the step, then like, we got to move on. Especially when you consider this year is Cam's other year to figure it out. Right. You need to give him people that are available, that will get the job done. And while Edelman will put everything on the line, if he just isn't physically available, then that's of no use to the Patriots. And, it sucks, but I get it.
Yeah, another part of this, JT, go back to you, as a Patriots fan, is a possession receiver. Do you have a possession receiver to take his slot right here to kind of help Cam Newton bail out of certain situations and give him some confidence in the pocket that he can check down to a receiver at like Edelman? Do you have anybody like that just sitting around or on your team?
Like I said earlier, Bird had a really good year last year, and his chemistry with Cam Newton. I feel like at times Bird was the only one Cam Newton felt comfortable throwing to. Like there were games where it just looked like him and Cam Newton were just on the same page. Yeah. Again, they played with each other in Carolina. I think you could see that history during the games. I think, with Edelman not being healthy, listen, Aguilar is going to have some speed. These tight ends that they brought in, they could put them in the slot even at times. It's just going to be Edelman. You're losing that toughness. You're losing that. He's just somebody you always count on. Yeah. And that's something hard to come across this league, I think, in any team. So he's going to be missed. But again, I think, like you said, Belichick, it's a system. He's always made it so it's like one person's out, plug this person in. Yeah. Next man up. Nobody will, I think, replace him. Yeah. Because I think he's proven to me where you earn the big bucks is when you're in the big moments. And he has stepped up in the big moments of the biggest games. That's something that you can't buy. That's not something you can teach. I think you can coach as much as you can, but to have that thing where you just step up in the biggest moments, it's tough. You can't be taught that. And he had that. And that's why he's great. I mean, Super Bowl 51, that catch when it's like third down and he caught it within centimeters of the grass, that thing will be an instant replays for Super Bowl after Super Bowl for the rest of our life.
Insane. It was insane what he physically did to his body to be able to catch that ball for sure.
Ooh, that's crazy.
But you mentioned something else, JT, and wants to get your thoughts on this. Like, we saw Antonio Brown basically become persona non grata in the NFL, and somehow, some way, Tom brought him in. He didn't play that much, but he got himself a touchdown in the Super Bowl, got himself in a position, and got himself a ring of all people. Is there a possibility that, he retires for now, just like Gronk retired for now, and then like 6 games into the season, 8 games into the season, Tom is putting that call in, and him and Arians and the Buccaneers are bringing in Edelman to kind of end out the season and into the playoffs as a reliable 4th or 5th receiver, if he can't be a 3rd on the team.
I only see that happening if they genuinely don't have the weapons that they need to do. They have so much depth at receiver. I think they'll be fine. So I would have to see some crazy injuries happen, or Antonio Brown goes off the deep end again, or whatever for that to come through. It's possible that that's sort of the plan already, is they just heard that the Patriots cut him, and maybe they're like, look, why don't you go rehab privately? And then we can look about bringing you in the second half of the season or something. Yeah. But I would take it at face value instead of trying to see if there's like some sort of secret plan to rebuild the Patriots in Florida. Just assume it is what it is. Edelman is not good enough to play right now because of I would honestly argue injuries. Possible he missed a step, that maybe he's not quite as sharp on his cuts anymore, because for Edelman, it was never, in my opinion, you can correct me if I'm wrong, JT, it's not because he's some sort of speed receiver. Like, not even close. It's that his routes were so clean and his hands were so steady that, like, he was getting open all the time because he'd be like, oh, and then all of a sudden,
Here's the thing. He did have speed. That Rams game, the reason he won MVP was because nobody could really guard him. He was just beating everybody off the line every single time. So, he's not the guy who's going to jump up and get the ball.
No. But
I agree.
Again, it wasn't. He's not. Let's not pretend like he was the Deshaun Jackson.
No,
like
of course
any
not,
receiver, any receiver has to have some speed. But I'm saying that's not what made him lethal. What made him lethal was that he ran those routes so crisp, like your ass did get dusted because you thought he was going to, and all of a sudden he zagged, and you were like, oh shit. So
and part of that has to go to the chemistry between him and Brady. You know, some of these players, they go to other teams and they don't look the same. Same thing can be said for Weckler, Wes Weckler. I keep saying Welker. I don't know why I keep saying his name wrong. Welker.
We went to Denver,
He went to Denver, and he wasn't that great with Peyton Manning. Danny Amendola is never as good as he was anywhere else except for when he was with the Patriots. So I don't know. Like, I don't see him going anywhere else unless it's Tampa. Okay. I don't see him going anywhere else. I think there's only enough in the tank for maybe to go to Tampa and play with Brady and get in our ring if he has to come in once in a while. But I think if he's done playing, he'll just end it in New England.
Well, all right, we'll see for sure. I mean, anything is possible at this point. You never know what could be it. And maybe the Patriots are doing well and the Bucs are doing well. And mid-season, Edelman has the choice to go either way and what he feels comfortable doing. And that could be nice for him overall. Maybe one last run at being a receiver in the NFL. We shall see for sure. Incredible stuff. And I'm sure we'll hear more as it goes along and any kind of rumblings because they can't get the contract done with Antonio Brown. Apparently, I don't know what Antonio Brown is holding out for. Brady gave him a ring. He should sign for $1, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. After all the stuff he pulled. It's just my opinion. Let's see here. Anyway, what do we got? We got about how many are watching us live? Over 100 watching live, but only 29 likes. What the hell? Swing your cursor button over there. Hit that thumbs up button. Give us some love for sure. And like I said, and I'll say it again because Winston just came on here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Q&A episode. We're going to talk about a couple things more, but we're going to open the doors to you all to send in your questions. We're going to talk about them here on the show. Of course, we appreciate your Streamlabs and Super Chats. That would be a great way to show support, and those would get priority, of course. But we're open to have your questions and answer them here on the show. Just have a little fun, having a little more of an interactive show than usual on a day like today when there wasn't much news that dropped for sure. And let's hit some of these right now before we move forward here. Got a Streamlab that came through from Ricky Ricardo. Nice, showing some Cuban love here. Do you think the NBA players nowadays are affecting the product on the floor by not playing with so-called, quote, injuries? Oh, no, by not playing because of so-called injuries and personal reasons. Obviously, thoughts and prayers to families in Minneapolis. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think that this idea of players, like more than ever, we've seen NBA players choosing when to play, when not to play, and the use of personal reasons has become a really predominant reason over the last few, 3 to 4 years. So, but it seems on the rise here in the NBA. Do you think this is a good thing, a bad thing? What do you guys think?
I have some things to say, so I'll let Winston. I want to hear what he says first.
All right. I think if you remember how long the season is and the idea to preserve a guy, I don't have a problem with every now and again. I know that there was this argument that when Popovich started doing it with the Spurs a couple of years back, and they're like,
load management.
Fuck you. Like, I paid money to see Tim Duncan do Mr. Fundamental shit. Like, I get that if you put X amount of dollars into trying to go see the show. At the end of the day, this is for the fans. At the end of the day, I get it. It's a sport and like the spirit of competition and winning and shit. And I'm sure the people in San Antonio would much prefer you go get a chip than the one night you paid to see a game that you didn't get to see Tim Duncan play.
Right.
I get that 1,000%. But I also get the argument of like, it is ultimately, if there are no fans, nobody gives a fuck that you can dunk a ball. So like you are kind of there to perform for them as is. So the only issue that I've seen it happen, sort of, I don't know what the fuck is going on with Kyrie, like on again, off again. Am I going to play? Am I not going to play? There, unless they just openly say, look, man, Kyrie's dealing with this family issue. Kyrie actually has this injury. Unless there's like a legitimate reason why Kyrie genuinely needs rest. Unless it's one of those things that's coming out. If it's just like Kyrie doesn't feel like playing today, then I don't think that that's cool. That is literally your job. If that's the case, you need to take a fucking salary cut, son. Like, that's not, that to me is not okay. Because can you imagine we do this show and it's on ESPN and it's like, yeah, Rocha's not going to be here today because, you know, Rocha don't feel like it. And like, what? That's not what we pay you for. We don't pay you to just take. Now, mental health days once in a blue moon. I understand that. That's a whole different conversation, whatever. But that's not what Kyrie's done this year. This year, he seems to really have been like, today I feel like I'm going to drop 40 on somebody. And then the next 10 days, I'm just going to sit here.
Yeah. And this is his 9th time this season that he has sat out a game due to personal reasons. He sat out a 3-game road trip last month. He's sitting out the game tonight. Kyrie is. James Harden is out tonight as well, but he's recovering from a strained hamstring. And Durant is slowly working his way back into this. And Irving got ejected the other day with jawing with Dennis Schroeder, and apparently the N-word was involved in that. And so there's a lot here that's very, very interesting. And once again, we go back to this idea. Everyone thinks the Nets are going to get to the finals here, but you've got some temperamental guys on that side of the ledger, and that seems like a recipe for disaster, possibly, if Nash doesn't know how to navigate this correctly. He's a first-year coach. But JT, what do you think about this? We've seen that more, but you'd never see this in the NFL, rarely, because it's only a 16-game season.
Yeah,
but
it's one game.
Here in the NBA, what do you think about it?
I personally don't like it. If you're like Kyrie is the example, I think that's where this conversation is starting from. He played for Boston. He had some injury issues. Here's the thing. I think to be lucky enough to be one of the few people in the world that get to play in the NBA, and you got a contract that is over like $100 million, for you not to go out there as a competitor, I think to me just makes you not want. I don't want you on my team.
Right.
You go back and look at the greats like Kobe Bryant, even LeBron and Michael Jordan. Those guys could play. Yeah. They played. Michael Jordan, the flu game, which is now the food poisoning game, dude had looked like he was gray, had one foot in the grave, and came out and just balled out and had one, most legendary games. So to me, it's more about competitiveness for me. Like I want a guy who wants to be out there no matter what. Like, tape me up, put me back out there. And then, a lot of times nowadays the doctors will tell you, listen, I know you want to play, but you can't. Back in the old days, they would give you a shot in your spine and you would go right back out there.
Yeah.
But you got to be smart about it. So, for me, the injury thing, I understand. If you are somebody who's in the later years of your career and you're still a great player, but you've been battling injuries and you're managing the load, like when Popovich was doing it, I didn't really care because I understood what he was doing. He's like, we need to get to the playoffs with our team intact. But when stuff that Kyrie's doing, I know we don't need to know his personal life, but this is been something that's been happening with him for a while now. He just seems like he seems like he's almost overloaded or just can't handle. I don't know what it is. He just needs more mental days, I guess. I don't know, but I agree with Winston. Rework your contract. Okay, guess what? You want to have 20 games off a year? Well, let's take off this much money off your contract for the next couple of years. If you're not going to play, why are we paying you? But they won't do that because they're afraid of losing one of the best players in the NBA.
Yes, but that's the whole thing. You gotta risk it to get the biscuit. It's one of those situations that guess what? If you're too afraid to get rejected by asking a girl out, it's never gonna happen. You ain't never gonna go out with her. So you need to have enough. You have enough, because the other thing you could do, I am very aware that Kyrie is probably, you could still argue top 10 player in the game right now. The stuff that he does is unreal that other people can't do themselves. But the problem is, you could take that contract of his and flip it into 2 other players potentially that could come out here and kick some major ass for you and know they'll be in and night out, versus not sure if he's going to be there. Now, the only thing that maybe they don't give a shit is because they're if maybe they have a behind closed doors, you're not doing this in the playoffs. You'll be here all the time for the playoffs, and you have enough superstars like James Harden still playing an MVP season and shit like that. Kevin Durant, when he's healthy and not cussing out Michael Rappaport, is doing what he needs to do. It's one of those things that I think maybe they're we have enough. He's not our solo star, so we have enough firepower to let him do whatever he's doing. And maybe this is a Dennis Rodman situation, but the difference was Dennis showed up when it fucking mattered. Dennis was always there. It's just I just need you to give me some time. But Dennis was fucking there when it's time to ball out and actually gave a shit.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're looking at here. And this has been happening step by step. And this is kind of the NBA's fault as well, because as they've scheduled these games and these back-to-backs, like you mentioned earlier, JT, Popovich looked at that and was like, man, I got to rest my players. I got to get these guys ready. The playoffs are a grind. There's more teams involved. There's more traveling involved. I've got to get them in a certain position so they can play their best when the time comes and when the moment counts. And so when that started, you started to see players care a little bit less and less about the regular season. Certainly LeBron, certainly the Lakers as well at times towards the tail end of Kobe's time. You saw them kind of slowly take it. I mean, LeBron disappeared in the middle of the season to go to Miami for Cleveland to hang out with Dwayne Wade for a couple weeks. We're seeing this more and more that they just want to get to the playoffs. Then they're going to focus in and do their thing. So the regular season becomes less and less as important as it was in the past. And even the play-in game or what have you, even Draymond Green said the other day, we ain't playing for the play-in game. It's like, bitch, you might only have to be playing for the play-in game. And so you're seeing these regular season getting devalued step by step. And I obviously think that players should take days off if they did, mental health days. And clearly Kyrie was taking the day off because they were playing in Minnesota after that terrible shooting where now the excuse is the guy accidentally discharged his gun. Can you do the reverse? Can you, if you actually,
it was apparently a woman, wasn't it? The guy was yelling taser, and she pulled a firearm and killed him.
Yeah,
I mean, if that's what's happening, I can respect that and be like, I need that off. There's nothing wrong with that. But I would also, for Kyrie, for someone that's being loud out there, I'd be the first one to be like, look, y'all, real talk. Everybody cancel the fucking game. Obviously the owners are not going to be happy about that shit. Yeah. But if all of the players are like, yeah, we ain't playing because this has happened yet again, on top of the vet, obviously this happened back in December, but the vet that got pepper sprayed and that video dropped this weekend too. If you're like, we need a day and y'all got to deal with it, to me, that's where when Kyrie was like, because you remember I was the biggest advocate of we don't need sports back yet. We're in the middle of what looks like another civil rights movement. Let's just keep riding this out until it's done, because if people get distracted, then they're not going to give a shit anymore. If that's what they want to do, and if Kyrie played that card, I bet you a number of the players might be like, you know what, you're right. Let's take a day to be like, what the fuck?
Yep. They did it in the playoffs last year, Winston. Remember when the shooting happened? They did this in the playoffs. That's unheard of. They did it, and then you're right about that. You're right about that. And just as you're saying that, the NBA has canceled the game tonight. I'm looking at it now. They did cancel the game tonight, so there will not be Timberwolves or Nets at Timberwolves game tonight. So
one thing I will add is I think unlike any other sport in the last few years, the NBA players have more power than I think any other sport. They just seem to hold the cards. True. They want to have a team. James Harden goes to where he wants to go. They seem to be have much more control than most other players in other leagues. Because I think NBA, unlike most sports, it really kind of comes to the superstar. They can kind of push their way around to get what they want. Whereas baseball, football, and baseball, there's stars, but I don't know, something about the NBA, just the way one person can take over a whole game. The way James Harden or Steph Curry can just take over a whole game. They kind of gives them more power to do what they want to do and whatever they need to be done. So I think Kyrie is in a position of power. He's like, I'm not going to play. What are you going to do? Are you going to cut me? You going to let me go?
Right.
You're like, what are you going to do? I need a game off. And the player's like, yeah, okay. Well, back in the old days, in the 70s, you want to get away with that.
Back in the 2000s, early 2000s, you wouldn't be able to get away with that.
You'd be like, are you crazy?
It's recent. Yeah.
I was like, how much I pay you? Get on that floor.
Jordan killed people to play. Are you kidding? He hated taking a day off.
Can you imagine if Jordan was on the same team as Kyrie? Oh my God. And Kyrie didn't show up for the game? Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley would have killed him. Yeah. They would have killed him. It would have been like, well, tell him not to come back ever.
John Paxson, I need a day off.
I mean, real talk. I love me some Durant. You know what I would love for Durant to do? To take that, and mind you, Rappaport deserved it, but take that energy for Rappaport and put it on Kyrie being like, you little bitch, you better bring your ass and play in this game unless you got a real ass reason to not be here. I know that if we're being honest, I think that we can all kind of agree that I think Kyrie is better than Westbrook in that regard. I know Westbrook actually won an MVP and all that shit, but I think that we can honestly agree that Irving's a little better. But if I'm Durant and Harden, I'm like, fuck it. Bring the OKC3 back. I know sometimes he loves to keep the ball. Yeah. Bring Westbrook and send Irving's ass if he ain't going to be here, man. Fuck it.
Yeah. especially this year, man. Westbrook is killing it for my Wizards. My Wizards aren't winning, but he's got triple doubles up the ass. Like, he is incredible, and he seems like he hasn't lost a step. He is absolutely playing phenomenal. I mean, moving him into, I mean, imagine putting that hungry man on a Nets team like it's stacked right now. Good God Almighty! You know, it's a great point you bring up. But we'll see.
Last year, when they were all walking off the court, Kyrie was talking like, "Let's start our own league. Let's leave the NBA. All the superstars get together and we'll create our own league." Like, it sounds like he's just done with the NBA. He doesn't like being told what to do. And it's like, that's crazy.
And there's no truth to the rumors that I did that after walking out of a Schmoedown match last year either. There's no truth to
comment. Starting off our own league.
All right, let's move on to the next question from Buckeye Jet. No comment. Hey, guys, were there QBs who were drafted in the top 3, which you were confident they become busts before their careers even began, like Jamarcus Russell, Mitch Trubisky, Heath Schuler, or Rick Meyer, and why? Fingers crossed Zach Wilson won't be one of them. Thanks a bunch. Well, I mean, there's a better track record for BYU quarterbacks than there are for Alabama quarterbacks outside of Joe Namath, for sure, or even Notre Dame quarterbacks, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I knew Rick Meyer was never going to be anything in the NFL. I didn't understand why people were going nuts about him. Jamarcus was a huge surprise to me because Jamarcus was a beast in college, just a beast. And I couldn't believe what happened when he came to the NFL. Vince Young, I thought was going to have 4 Super Bowl trophies. The way he handled USC in that national championship game, I thought Vince Young was tailor-made. Right?
That one to me was by far the saddest, especially just because, like, Vince was the man. And I just remember, on top of the fact that, like, I was a little split in that, you know, being from Dallas, so having the Texas roots, but then my mom is from LA and went to USC. I was split in that game, but I was just raised as a Trojan. So, like, I was like, yo, I'm pulling. So to see him just will them to a championship in that last couple of minutes, I was like, what the fuck is happening? So, like, God, man, it's why I will never forgive Jeff Fisher, and I feel like he's such a trash coach. Like, you ruined that man. Man, because even when he came into the NFL, he was still doing work, but like, Fisher just ruined him. And he just never recovered. It sucks, bro.
It's a great point. When coaches matter. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't really follow college. I've told you this before, but I always pay attention to, like, who the next big guy is going to be. And I just don't trust the college, draft. I don't trust it. What was Patrick Mahomes? What was he? What number was he? Because he wasn't first. I know Trubisky got picked before him. Now, if you came to me the day of the draft and said, "Oh yeah, that Trubisky's going to be good," I think they picked the right guy. Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league right now.
He was 10th.
He was 10th. That's if I had the first round pick. When's the last time our first round pick actually lived up to his expectations? Let me ask you that.
That's a good question.
I would trade that number 1, and I would take a quarterback and a back 5 because they're just good enough chance they'll be as good as anybody else.
What's his
Lamar
name?
Jackson was
Andrew Luck was, except obviously he ended up getting hurt so much that started to not help. Unfortunately, if RG3 wasn't beaten to a bloody pulp by your former head coach there, Rocha, he would have been that guy.
Yeah, I know. Shanahan killed him. Shanahan absolutely killed him.
I was thinking about RG3 about that one, but I'm just saying.
Cam Newton, I think that counts for sure. He was first. He was. I want to say he was first overall.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah,
Carolina. Obviously, it happens, but how many great quarterbacks aren't?
Eli Manning won 2. He was the first round pick. Remember, he was the first pick of the draft. Right. He won the Super Bowl.
Okay, I know he won Super Bowl. Come on.
Keyshawn Johnson won a Super Bowl. Drew Bledsoe won as the backup, right, with the Patriots that year, the first year.
Oh yeah,
right?
Okay.
Yeah. John Elway won 2. Troy Aikman won 3. This is not a big list. This is less than 20 people who've been first overall and won Super Bowls.
Yeah. Here you go. Here you go. I pulled up. I guess this is a list that the Ringer did. So they did who the first quarterback picked was.
Yeah.
And then who was the top quarterback in the class? So 2012, Andrew Luck was the first quarterback taken. Russell Wilson is the best one out of that class. 2013, EJ Manuel. Best one was Geno Smith, which just goes to show that was a really bad quarterback.
I knew EJ was going to be shit as a quarterback. I knew that.
Okay.
2014, Blake Bortles, who's been my god. But then Derek Carr is the best, so that's also kind of a ooh.
Yeah.
2015, Jameis Winston was the first quarterback pick. He is still considered the best one out of it.
Really?
2016, Jared Goff was the first one picked. Dak Prescott is considered the best out of that class. 2017, Trubisky. Obviously, the best out of that class is Mahomes. 2018 was Mayfield. Lamar Jackson is the best out of that one.
By the way, the Patriots could have took Lamar in the first round. We passed and took a tight end, and it makes me sick today.
There's no way Tom was going to let you take
No,
Lamar.
but I would have had Lamar. I would have
let
Lamar be on the bench for a year or two and come off and be even better than he is now. All right.
2019, first quarterback Murray. He is still considered the best out of his class. And then the last one last year, Joe Burrow was taken first quarterback. Justin Herbert is considered the best out of the class so far.
Herbert is.
He's good.
Herbert is one. I picked Herbert from the beginning. Go back and find the Collider's sports time videos. I knew Herbert was going to be a great quarterback. I had a feeling about that kid. So,
he impressed me the most watching him this past year.
Yep.
Like, he's got a cannon.
Yes,
and he's smart. I don't know.
I think they've gotten worse at it because now there's one that they have to compare it to. So draft results from 83 to 90. So 83, Elway was taken, who's still an all-time great, obviously, but Dan Marino was considered the best out of the class. But then you had for 84 and 85, Boomer Esiason, who was the first picked, remained the best out of the class. Randall Cunningham was 85, remained the best out of that class. Everett was 86, best out of that class. Testaverde was 87, but Rich Gannon was the best out of that class.
Wow.
Tupa was 88, but then Chandler. But then Chris Chandler was the best. Then Troy Aikman was selected in 89. He remained. And then Jeff George in 90, and he remained. It has gotten worse, it seems like.
I think it definitely gotten worse. Remember Johnny Manziel? Like, everyone was saying this guy was going to be – I watched him. I was like, this guy is not good. I don't get it. So I don't put a lot of stock in the draft, honestly. So if you're saying this is the number one guy, I know everyone's saying Trevor Lawrence is like the next coming of John Elway meets Tom Brady, whatever. I just don't know if I trust those numbers. I would just trade up and take somebody in the second half, and you'll probably get something better.
Bam. Somebody just said Derek Carr is statistically the best Raider quarterback of all time, and as a Raider fan, that makes me so sad.
It should make you sad. Wow. Let's see. Alex Tornai says, hey, guys, what's y'all's opinion on the buyout rule in the NBA? It clearly works for the rich teams, and I think the NBA should institute a deadline for buyouts, and players should have to clear waivers. So what are y'all's thoughts on the NBA, on the buyout situation in the NBA? Here, let me put it down.
Can you clarify for me what specifically how the buyout program works?
In particular? Let me, how can I do this smaller? I always forget how to,
this is an example of a banner.
I want to bring his stuff up, but I don't want to cover your
face. What I would suggest then is making us the vertical ones.
Oh, there it is.
Cool.
Perfect. Cool. Okay. Perfect. So here's how the buyout rule works. A buyout occurs when a player and a team mutually decide to part ways. Obviously, the player surrenders an agreed upon amount of his guaranteed salary, and in exchange is released and allowed to sign with any other team as a free agent. If a team buys a player out, he cannot re-sign with or be claimed off of waivers by that same team for at least 1 year or until the end of the contract that was bought out, whichever comes later. And they typically last 1 year. And buyouts on multi-year deals are a rarity. Like Blake Griffin was an exception this season. Usually doesn't happen. Typically, the kind of player that gets bought out is a player in the final year of contract, a veteran whose age or injury history is causing declining skills, or is currently on or was traded to before the deadline. This is how that's done. It's the team saves a bit of money, and the player is allowed to pick a new team that better suits him at the moment. And by the way, the new team assumes some of his salary as well, usually in a buyout, because the other team is off the hook for it, for letting him sign. So that's a part of it that's factored in as well. So,
I get it, because I get this idea, like if you were to apply it to real world stuff, it's this idea of someone's born on third and they can just do whatever the fuck they want. Like I do think that sucks for the smaller market teams, definitely. But I think like that's the thing also, knowing coming into it, you know what your team can and can't do. So you got to be kind of careful about like the, who you're signing and like how you're signing them. You know what I'm saying? If you want to offer the Supermax to Giannis, and why wouldn't you? Best player in the league, or arguably the best player in the league, right? Like, it makes sense. But then if a few years down the line and he's injured and shit, and you're like, all right, we want to buy him out, just like how that could fuck you because you don't have the money to do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's essentially having a budget and understanding, is this a way out or is this not? You just have to move a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's not really the same that you would apply it to real life, because you're not talking about someone's like life here or livelihood. You're just talking about like a basketball team. So I don't know. Like, I know people bitched about the Yankees could just do whatever the fuck they want because they just have hella dollars. But, what are you going to do?
Well, and you've got teams like this season, 18 teams are like already at the hard cap. They're already at the hard cap, so they can't take on new players and new salary. So the buyout players are limited to where they can go, and they usually go to teams that are on the brink or possibly going to the playoffs, or at least the chance, or possibly even winning the NBA Finals. That's usually like when Andre Drummond joined the Lakers, which should never have been allowed to happen, but because the Lakers were able to clear enough space in there, they were able to sign him. What's your thoughts on this, JT?
Yeah, to me, it seems like it's usually a win-win situation. Like, there's never really any hard feelings. It's a lot of times when the player and the team agree, this is the best way to go forward. And a lot of times it's done out of respect for a player who's maybe been with the team for a long time. So, I don't have an issue with it. Like, to me, it's more about like two sides coming to meeting and coming to a resolution that benefits both.
That's the big thing I think that makes it different too. Is it's not the team cutting you and then they can do it. Like, it's literally like, look, this ain't working for us. This ain't working for you. We'll pay some of this money and you can go be on your merry way. And if there's somebody else that you want to rock with, go rock with them. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the big difference here. Because nobody's like signing their 5-year contract to be like, you know what I'm trying to do is in that 50, I'm trying to get bought the fuck out. Like, nobody's trying to do that. Like, they want to play all the way through.
Right.
So I don't know.
Buy my ass out. Yeah, that's usually they want to earn their contract, man. That's usually the way it goes. Let's see what else we got here. I know we had another one here that maybe got a little bit later on. Is that right? No, sorry about that. Let me grab it here. There it is. This is from Chris Taylor. He says, Rocha, going forward, should WrestleMania be 2 nights? Yes, I think it was a lot of fun spread out over 2 nights. You lose the overall, like, how can I say this? The overall rhythm of it being a one-time event, spreading out over 2 nights, and you invite criticism that one night is better than the other night, which could cause problems with your creative team and how they've laid things out. But I think it's smart as fuck because you keep the word WrestleMania in people's mouths over 2 days on a weekend. And I think that's smart branding wise for the WWE. Do you guys have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, one, my Twitter feed can't take 2 nights. It was every wrestling fan comes out of the woodwork, and that's all I saw for 2 nights was WrestleMania.
Well, I'm
WrestleMania, which is fine. I'm not a wrestling fan. I was growing up, Bret hit the Hitman Hart days, Mr. Perfect. Oh yeah, even back to Ultimate Warrior. Those were the days for me. But God. I fell off after The Rock left and Stone Cold. That whole rivalry kind of ended once they went to like R to PG. I dropped off. I don't know. It's tough for me. Imagine if they played the Super Bowl and they said we're playing one half on Saturday, we're playing the second half on Sunday. Like, it feels a little weird. When I was a kid,
not the same team over 2
nights. I know,
nights.
but here's the thing. When I was a kid, my friends would come over. We'd all pitch in and get the pay-per-view. And we would drink so much soda and eat so much bad food that the next day we were just spent. We had stomach aches. We just pigged out. I couldn't imagine waking up the next day and have my friends coming over again to watch a whole nother pay-per-view, pig out. I would just be exhausted. I don't know how. I mean, listen, for adults, yeah, sure, maybe it's fine. I say keep it. I mean, think about the old WrestleManias, man. When Ultimate Warrior fought Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, the day just felt special. It built up and it ended. And now you tell me I got to go to bed and there's going to be a bunch of other matches. It takes something special out of it. I don't know. Okay. That's just me, a purist who grew up a wrestling fan but doesn't watch it anymore.
I respect it. Winston.
Okay, boomer.
Yep, boomer, baby. I want it.
I don't follow wrestling anymore. So
so you're the same
if someone. Well, no, but I mean, I was confused. I definitely spent a lot of time on Twitter being like, "There's more. There's more." Like, but I don't. It's literally, if it's bigger and badder, and it's like, yo, like, and it gives people an opportunity to like kind of do that. I don't have a problem with it. If anything, I think of it in the way of, not to bring this into a Snyder Cut conversation, I would have preferred to have had that as 2 entries or a mini series. I'm okay with doing that, being like, it is WrestleMania weekend, and we're doing this Saturday night from like, for I guess California time, it'd be what, like 2 in the afternoon until about, like 8 or 9. And we can do that shit again on Sunday, and just know that I'm in for a full weekend of just bomb ass matches. I'm about it. What's up?
Breaking news: Edelman just announced his retirement.
Oh,
he just released a video called Foxborough Forever. He released it 12 minutes ago, and it's a video of him in the stadium announcing his retirement.
Wow,
there it is.
They'll play it again in 6 months when he joins the Buccaneers, but I appreciate it.
No, sorry, I just had this. Oh man, I can't wait to watch all this stuff afterwards. Sorry, Winston. Go ahead.
I mean, that's it. It's just a situation of like, if you just want to break it up, like, I don't have a problem with that. You giving me entertainment for an entire weekend, especially if I'm not mistaken. Isn't WrestleMania maybe the most expensive pay-per-view out of all of them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's the granddaddy. It's the Super Bowl of the WWE for sure. Yeah.
Right. So if you're gonna do that, if you're telling me like, I don't know what the going rate for pay-per-views are anymore, but if you're like, it's gonna be a $200 event, and I'm like, damn, that's a lot of money. Good thing I'm getting it for 2 full fucking days.
I'll be honest with you.
The network, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't buy a pay-per-view in the States anymore. You have to join the streaming service now to watch these, if I'm correct on that, because I think it's overseas, it's pay-per-view. But now, like, people could have watched WrestleMania for $3 because Peacock has a $2.99 special now for the next 4 months to get people to subscribe. $2.99 a month for Peacock. $2.99 a month for the next 4 months.
Let me ask you a question, Rocha. So my question to you is: if
it ain't Jay Instagram, it's Winston trying to sign up for deals. God damn it! Go ahead.
As a wrestling,
I don't see no $2.99. You lying bastard!
It's there. It's there. Take a look.
I see $4.99.
Oh, sorry, $4.99.
Yeah, still, that's nothing for pay-per-view.
$5 for Yeah.
So,
sorry, go ahead, JT. Yeah.
Rocha, as someone who watches wrestling and has a wrestling show,
yes,
do you feel like they had enough talent to fill up 2 nights? Or because think about it, back in the day, there would be, a couple hours and it was all the big hitters. So is there more stuffing of lower level fighters? Is it more drawn out, or you still feel like every match is as important as the next?
Well, let me clarify something real quick with Winston. First, Winston, the deal was done on Friday. So it was for people to sign up for it so they could watch WrestleMania. So I apologize. It's now back to $4.99. The other side of this is they've accrued, because of the competition with AEW and JPW and Ring of Honor and Impact. The WWE has signed so many wrestlers on their rosters, and they have like 5 shows with, of course, with Raw, with SmackDown, with NXT UK, with 205 Live. They've got so many different shows. They have to spread their talent amongst those shows. So in essence, WrestleMania is a way of showing how big the organization is and how much talent they have. And so they set up these matches. Now, did everybody love the matches? Hell no. Did everybody love the matchups? Hell no. But it's a way of kind of big timing the other organizations, because they couldn't have a 8-hour, 9-hour pay-per-view spread it over 2 nights. They don't have the roster for it. The WWE does. So it's in essence a way of kind of showing how big their dick is, basically. Yeah.
It's more quantity than quality. Is that what you would say?
Yes. It's more quantity than quality for sure.
Okay.
1,000,000%. But they can do it. And obviously, Peacock just bought them for $1 billion. $1 billion. Wow. And so they certainly have the money to pay off their wrestlers and, kind of brand themselves with Peacock. Even though the Peacock streaming for them kind of sucks, because you can't rewind during a live event, you can't pause it, you can't do any of that. You have to wait till the event's completely over, then you can go back and watch.
But can you do that with any of these live streaming anything where you can pause
YouTube TV?
You could on the WWE network. You could when they were the WWE network.
So that's the problem. You're talking about they didn't integrate the thing. They just said you're absorbed now, and this is where, because that was the only thing I was thinking of. There have been plenty of things that I've live streamed before that there is no rewind back. Obviously, YouTube has predicated themselves on that. So like when we do a Schmoedown pay-per-view, it still works under YouTube principles. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to go back and be like, I want to rewatch Rocha win his match, then you go back and rewatch Rocha win his match. I don't know why my voice cracked when I said that. Clearly, I felt some type of way about it. But you can watch Rocha win his match. Like just feel it.
It's a rarity nowadays, so enjoy. Go ahead.
You know what's funny? I used to get so mad at you when you would say stupid shit like that, but I realized this is how you psych yourself up. You keep calling yourself trash, so then when you actually win, you're like, what, I won? And you're just like, if you're cutting a promo, you're like, I'm the baddest that ever did it. But whenever a question comes up, all right, and this in the world of Westerns, oh God, Westerns, fuck.
I'm from the Lou Holt school. North Carolina A&T, that's the best team I'm ever going to play. That's the toughest team. If Notre Dame wins, it'll be a miracle. That's the way Lou Holt used to do it every single goddamn time.
Bro, I'm just dying. I'm literally dying. It's like, okay, shows that Rocha was in, son of a bitch. Like he's just like, fuck. I do a million shows, even though I remember every single one of them. Like it's just
shows that Rocha was in. Brilliant. All right, Connor Pearson Ward says the players have the most power in the NBA because there's only like 15 people on a team compared to other sports that have way more people on their rosters, along with being more teammate reliant. Yeah, I guess that's fair because you could compare it to, like, let's say Premier League soccer, right? Premier League or football, whatever you want to say. The players really do kind of run the system there in Europe. Not really so much the MLS, but certainly in Europe, they can like force trades, force themselves to get bought out, force movement to other teams because they're of value. And if they're not happy, even though they've got 3 years left on a contract, they'll happily sit out because the contracts are so lucrative. They've already invested their money and had multiple revenue streams. So yeah, that's fair.
It's the money. It's the fact that you have a system like loans, which is kind of crazy. Like I wish there was something we could do, but like that makes sense because there's like 50 fucking soccer leagues. So if you're like, I want to get them on loan for this for a little bit, and they're playing, if I'm not mistaken, because of all these different leagues, they're playing year round. There isn't much of an off season the way that any of the rest of our sports do. But though, to be honest with you, the idea of year round football sounds like a terrible plan. Not that we wouldn't enjoy the entertainment. I'm just worried somebody would actually die on the field just because of how fucking violent
careers would be shortened. Yeah, careers would be shortened.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Let's see. We got some another one. Justin Toner says, hi, guys. John, really enjoyed both nights of WrestleMania this weekend. Main events of both nights delivered. Excited for Bianca and Rhea as the women's champions. Sorry, Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley winning their respective championship matches. What were your favorite matches of the weekend? Also, did you get to see NXT TakeOver too? Okay, no, I haven't finished watching NXT TakeOver. I was pretty busy last week studying and what have you for something else. As for the matches of the weekend, yeah, I would say the triple threat match at the end of night 2 was a banger, as the kids like to say. I also think the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match was worth it just to see Logan Paul rather get stunned. That was fantastic.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the Logan Paul was part of the festivities. So was Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny was wrestling on night 1, and he was incredible, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely incredible. He apparently moved to Orlando for the last 3 months to train in the Performance Center so he could show up and show out. And he did a flying squirrel off the top rope. It was a thing of beauty. So it was.
I'm gonna watch Logan Paul get stunned real fast. Give me a second because this sounds glorious.
Kevin Owens kicked him in the gut and then get it. But Bianca Belair, Sasha, right?
Ooh, Logan, you shouldn't have done that. He pushed the homie. Oh no. Oh,
no. You watched the whole segment. Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, it's only a minute, so
no worries. Also, I'd say the Bianca Belair Sasha match definitely. The Rhea Ripley Asuka was okay. I mean, Rhea winning was pretty much foregone conclusion. But those were the matches that stood out to me. Oh, and Apollo Crews winning his match was great as well. Tomorrow night, Aaron Turner will be my guest on the Outlaw Nation show at 5 p.m. PT. He was there at WrestleMania for both nights. So we're going to talk about what that experience was like, being there, masks, the rain, experience of being in the stadium for all those matches. So join us tomorrow night for that as well.
Somebody slipped and fell, I saw.
Yeah, Mandy Rose.
Yeah, I saw that.
The beautiful Mandy Rose for sure. Let's see here. Adrian Bailey says, hello, gentlemen. How are you doing today? WrestleMania was epic this year. I was hoping Edge would win the Universal title, but I think Reigns will keep it to SummerSlam for the 1 year anniversary.
Okay, that was hilarious.
Ripley won the right. She is a great wrestler. I'm happy Ripley won the title. She's a great wrestler. Obviously. Gentleman Scientist says, hi, Rocha, JT, and Winston. My biggest pet peeve during NFL games is when a broadcaster refers to a player's draft position when describing a veteran. After their rookie year, why does draft position matter? If an undrafted veteran balls, who cares?
Well, I think I like it because it gives you a little idea of where their headspace is at. Tom Brady will never escape the fact that he was picked so far down the draft, and he says to this day, it's a driving force. Yeah. So when you see a great player and you reminded where they're drafted, part of you just kind of fills in the blanks. Like, oh, he was up against it from day one, and he kind of came out and showed out.
Yeah, it's part of the narrative of anything when you watch any sport, and they bring up the draft position because that implies worth, what other team felt you were worth at the time. So if you go above that worth, there's a certain level of pride in that helps elevate the status of the player. Don't you think, Winston?
Yeah. No, I agree 1,000%. I think that is essentially what it is. It's the idea of, look, not to take it to The Bachelor for a minute, there's a reason why they're like, I got the first rose. Like, it's like you thought of me first. It's kind of the same thing. You were like, you were the most, because like that's why teams are like, yo, fine, give us the number 2 fucking draft pick, and you can have our pick over at 12, and we'll give you our first next year, and we'll give you a second and a third, because you're like, it's worth all of that to us to have this person. So I think that is the currency you have until contracts come into play. But I do see someone being like, what is Winston talking about? Teams had soccer leagues do have yes, I know individual leagues have off seasons, but there are so many fucking leagues that you finish your league from like September to March, and then you'll play in another league from like April until like August. Like, I understand how it works. I'm saying that those off seasons are a little different because of the sheer number of leagues that exist. Oh my God.
also sometimes, and Winston's right about this, when the Premier League is off season, the Bundesliga, the German league, is still going. So you just never know. Mexico has its leagues going. Liga MX has its league going at different times. The MLS is all through the summer and stuff. So the leagues are operating around the world. And don't discount the MLS. They've brought over a number of European players, and it's no longer the players that are right at the end of their career. These are sometimes in prime players that come over and play for the MLS now. And we're sending out American players that are starting for some of the best teams in Europe. So it's all changing, ladies. Y'all need to get on board with the soccer situation. JT, I'm looking at you, for God's sake.
Sorry.
Because I know he ain't into the soccer stuff. All right. Cobalt Swordsman said, hey, guys, keep up the good work. If the Patriots miss out on the top 5 quarterback in the draft, which quarterback would be the steal? Kellen Mond from Texas A&M? Yeah, JT, have you done any kind of scouting on quarterbacks that they could take here in case it doesn't work out with Cam?
Yeah, I'm not a huge college guy. I've only been listening to some of the rumors. Like Justin Fields is something a lot of people were talking about. Maybe them trading up with Atlanta and getting Justin Fields. But I've also heard reports saying like he's not quite worth it for the Patriots. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think they're probably going to roll with Cam, and maybe who knows. I like these guys are talking about after those top 5 QBs. I haven't really heard much about them or what if they're going to be any good. I wouldn't be surprised if they took a chance on somebody later to draft. I don't think Stidham's going to last there. No. So I think they're going to ride with Cam.
I know. I feel like if they had faith in Jarrett Stidham, they would have already started to put him on the field. I just feel like he's there for now, but he hasn't really shown the promise they were hoping, I imagine. To get him into that situation. What do you think, Winston? Do you think they go for a quarterback this year, the Patriots, or do you think they kind of let it ride with what they have and ignore that in the draft?
I still think that they're watching to make sure if Garoppolo can stay healthy, and they're like, look, motherfucker, you want to come home? You can come home. I mean, I get it. You left. You wanted to go see if you could sow some oats over in California, but you want to come home? Like, I don't know. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, and you would know better than me, JT, that y'all really don't look for quarterbacks that hard in the draft. That's never been your thing. And if you're looking for someone, you're looking for someone you could take a lower draft pick on that kind of all of a sudden ball out. I mean, look at all the people, like the last big dude you took was Bledsoe. You know what I'm saying? But otherwise,
that's a good point. Yeah,
we had Brady for like 20-something years, so we didn't have to look. But I do think Garoppolo was definitely somebody they were hoping might be the next quarterback, and things did not work out.
Yeah. I don't trust an Alabama guy. I don't trust Kyle Trask. I don't trust any of these guys really. I mean, Kellen Mond maybe, but he was also. Inconsistent. Rocha. He was inconsistent with the out.
Come on, Rocha. You gotta trust again one time, or how you gonna find love? You gotta open your heart just one time, Rocha. Just one time. I know it's dangerous. You can open your heart and they could just sit out here and flame out, and then all of a sudden you don't wasted a top pick on their ass. But there are linemen that have been taken in the first round, and then all of a sudden they ain't got no knees, or they're not as good at blocking as we thought. It is unfortunately a risk no matter what position you take. I just know that there are certain things, like with linemen, for example, you just kind of look, and it's just about what are you doing these very specific things, and if you are, it's going to translate. Doesn't always translate with quarterback. I get it.
Yeah. I had 20 years of first round picks. They didn't flame out till I took this one. They all flamed out till I took this one. Chris Miner says, what is your biggest sports what if question? Mine is, what if Zaza had not injured Kawhi in the playoffs? Zaza Pachulia had not injured Kawhi. I'm a diehard Spurs fan, and it kills me that Zaza killed us. Zaza Pachulia killed you all. And that's a great, great question, because the Spurs did look like they were ready that year. And that injury kind of sent the Warriors to where they were going and sent the Spurs back down. And Kawhi left subsequently afterwards. Yeah.
If one player, I get it's basketball, and that each individual player has way more of an effect than like whatever. But if one person can cost you that shit, you weren't ready. Like, real talk. Literally look at the Chiefs. Chad Henne fucking took the Chiefs where they needed to go over the Browns. And like, again, I get it, completely different, but the quarterback is the most important fucking position on the field. And they figured out how to make that work. So like, I can't subscribe to that like, just because you didn't have Kawhi. I look at when the Warriors, I think that may have been the same year or the year right after, when the Warriors lost the 3-1 lead to Cleveland. The difference there is, look at how many things were out of whack at that point. So if I remember, Steph got injured for like a game or two. Fucking Draymond's ass got that tech that shouldn't have been a tech and got him suspended for a game. You had a number of things go wrong, and it took all of that and LeBron and Kyrie having a 50-point game collectively together. Like, you had a number of things have to happen for that to ultimately play out the way it was. Greatest collapse we've ever seen in sports, but outside of the Falcons, because that was such a short period of time to lose that many fucking points.
Damn. So true.
But it just one, like, I get who Kawhi is and how well he plays, but you're talking about Greg Popovich, and if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Duncan still there at the time? Or no, he already retired.
Kawhi. Yeah, he'd already retired.
It was just Kawhi at that point.
Yeah.
That to me, to think that just losing Kawhi is all it takes for you to completely self-destruct, I can't subscribe to that, because you're supposed to be a team. Like, I get that you're not going to be nearly as good, but like y'all, like, where's the next man up mentality? Where's the idea of, like, again, the greatest coach we've ever seen in basketball? You couldn't figure that out?
Yeah, that's a fair point. What about you, JT? What do you think about this?
I mean, this is obviously, it's a personal choice here. For me, it was the Celtics losing that rematch to the Lakers. They won the first series. And for me, it's Kendrick Perkins.
Yes.
Kendrick Perkins out for game 7, which gave Paul Gasol free reign.
Yep.
He was he protected the paint. Garnett was older, but Perkins was like, he was the defensive beast underneath that kind of dominated everything that was going to happen underneath the board. And again, the Celtics were winning most of that game. Then Kobe went off in the second half. As a Celtics fan, I can't help but think, what if Kendrick hadn't got hurt? We could have won that game 7. I mean, I give all of the respect to the Lakers. They went and won that game. But the whole time I watched that game, I remember just sitting there thinking, Man, if we had Kendrick, this might have been a different story. So Kendrick Lamar, Game 7 for the championship.
I think you're 100%.
Kendrick Perkins?
Yeah, Perkins.
You said Kendrick Lamar. You're like, yo, if Kendrick Lamar wasn't hurt,
no, I said Kendrick Perkins.
Well, that last time you said Kendrick Lamar,
Did I
was
really?
like, yeah.
Oh man, that would have brought a different style of game to.
I think you're absolutely right, man. The Celtics own the Lakers mentally. Paul Pierce kind of owned Kobe a little bit mentally, man, and you could tell that he knew how to bully Kobe at the time, how to get Kobe to question himself, question his teammates. And Kendrick knew how to mess with Gasol. He was a more physical player. Rashid did what he could. And certainly the first 3 quarters, the Celtics were hanging, if not in the lead. And then out of nowhere, Meta World Peace figured out how to shoot threes again. And that's what ended up being the difference. Look at Kobe's stats in that fourth quarter. They're horrendous. It was Meta World Peace who won him that title with his timely 3-pointers. But the Celtics could have absolutely beat them in LA with Kendrick. I have no doubts.
My bigger what if, at least if we're talking basketball, someone just said it, and honestly, is if D Rose hadn't gotten hurt. That's a little different because the Zaza Kawhi thing, that's a brief moment. In a brief moment like that, you need the rest of that team to rally and do what you need to do. But literally watching probably one of the most promising people we've ever seen in the NBA take that crushing injury. And what it did was open the floodgates. Because if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't then the same knee that he hurt. It ended up being the other knee, right? So it was probably, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong about that. Did you lose me?
Did I lose him?
No, we hear you.
Okay.
Maybe it's Rocha's internet then. Is
it my internet? Okay.
Maybe because JT said he could still hear me, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if he hurt the other knee after that or if he re-injured the same one. But it opened up this like fucked up floodgate of injuries for him that he never became the same Derrick Rose that he was. And that was devastating to see, because even though like I was only a Bulls fan because I was a Michael Jordan fan,
right?
The idea that maybe you found a guy that could take that same kind of whatever, it was like, that fucking sucks so hard.
Yeah, he took an MVP from LeBron in his prime.
Yeah.
I got it. I figured out my what if. What if? Okay. What if Tony Romo doesn't fumble that ball against the Seahawks?
Yeah.
Because that was also a floodgate. Tony still got some confidence and did what he had to do, but that was a floodgate of him becoming a scapegoat. That definitely did kind of fuck with his head. Like, that game was over. Who knows if that's the year, because that was a solid ass fucking team. Who knows if that's a year that the Cowboys do make a deep run into the playoffs or even win the whole goddamn thing. Like, oh man.
Well, similar to that, if you're a Seahawks fan, you got to wonder, why do we not give the ball to Lynch on the 1 yard line?
That's a great what if. What if?
All timer right there. I love the outcome. I love the outcome.
Of course.
Even I couldn't believe even I was like, how do you not run that with Lynch on the one? Unbelievable.
One of the greatest truths about the Patriots record in the Super Bowl is they could have ended up with a losing record in the Super Bowl for sure. I mean, like you said, the Seahawks thing, if the Falcons hold on to their lead, and also if that's what I'm saying, the Falcons, but also if you look at the Panthers were going toe to toe, or even if the Rams somehow hold them or stop them from hitting that field goal to win that first one that starts this whole thing off.
And the Giant games,
Giants
easily could have both.
They could be undefeated. They could be 2-5 in this, or 2-4 in the Super Bowls. You just have the Patriots are crazy in that way. But I've got another biggest what if. What if Drew Bledsoe never gets hurt that year? What? That's the biggest. I think that's the biggest what if.
That's the most fucked up shit, JT.
I'm sorry.
I'm saying that whenever I do that in fantasy football all the time. Like, yo, so and so got hurt. I had his back.
Hey.
Oh shit, 40 points. Like,
I'm not saying I wanted to get hurt, but he did, and I can't be mad.
Yo, I got one. What if they don't fucking steal the Seattle Supersonics out of Seattle, bro?
Oh. Yeah,
because that was a promise that they weren't gonna fucking move, and then the next thing you know, they're gone. And it was right at the start of Durant's career, because Durant played 1 year in Seattle before they moved to OKC.
Yeah.
Like, I would have much rather they had, like, because they did an expansion anyway to bring New Orleans a team. I would much rather you had done an expansion and given OKC a team that way than to fuck over a city that loved that team more than most fucking sports fans loved their teams. Period. Like, that was sad.
Here's some two NFL what ifs. What if the Giants had drafted Roethlisberger instead that year? What would have happened with them? Would they have won more? And what if Drew Brees had passed his physical in Miami and become a Dolphin instead of going to New Orleans? That's a massive what if as well, for sure. And what if Shanahan hadn't fucking played RG3 in that playoff game and ruined his entire fucking life? That's my personal what if. Son of a bitch. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What if the Rangers just closed out that fucking World Series? You were one out away. You were 1 out away. Fucking Angels and then fucking Cardinals.
Fuck that. What if Mariano strikes out the Diamondback motherfucker? Then we'd win another World Series. Or what if the Red Sox don't come back 0-3? If the Red Sox don't come back 0-3, there's no way they have there's no way they have a World Series still. There's no way. There's just no way. I'll let it be. I'll calm down. All right. Connor Pearson says, to make a slight add on to my earlier super chat, NBA players have the most power because one NBA player changes the team's fortune 100 times more than an NFL or MLB player does each season on their own. I don't know. We just saw Tom Brady walk into Tampa Bay and lead them to a Super Bowl title.
Yeah.
So on average. I can't say that. On average.
No. You have to say on average. You have to say on average because there's also something else you're not taking into consideration. There may be one or two quarterbacks that are slightly more skilled than Tom Brady, and we've talked about this before, but he is the GOAT.
Yeah.
In the same way that I would make the argument, there are probably one or two basketball players that are slightly more skilled than Michael Jordan, but he is the GOAT. There was something about him being in that room that is on a whole other plane and a whole other level where you get inspired to be like, I got to keep up, or he's calling you trash and you got to keep up, and you just play at a different level and it's lights out, or the Michael Jordan mentality comes in, or the Tom Brady mentality comes in. Like that is a special case that I think that you could say that for NFL, Tom Brady doing that is very different than if you say take, I don't fucking know, Cam Newton. Cam Newton was a league MVP and made it to a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't guarantee that shit would change.
Yeah. What if Jameis didn't have the crab legs incident? Oh, stop it. He was done already. What is it? I remember this. What if the New York Knicks don't come off the bench and have basically their starting five get suspended? That's right. I remember that game in the playoffs when that happened. That affected them in the playoffs for sure. This is a good one. What if Charles Smith made that layup in '93 against the Bulls? Does that stop the three-peat from happening? Remember they blocked him like 4 times.
What if Bo Jackson's knee doesn't explode?
Injuries are tough, man. You know, injuries are like what ifs. And for me, like the Kendrick Perkins, it was game 7 of game 7 of a champion. It was a championship game. It wasn't like he was hurt for the series. It just hurts when you lose a key piece for one game to decide the whole thing.
I'm gonna fight Afrofuturism. That's Corey Scott Johnson. That's the homie. What if Dez makes the catch? He did make the catch. I mean, what if the refs call it correctly?
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! What if the fucking refs call that pass interference on the fucking the Rams did against the Saints? Like shit.
That's the one. Yeah. What if the Raiders don't get screwed by the tuck rule versus the Patriots in the playoffs?
That's absolutely true. Yeah,
that's a great what if.
I think Brady still goes on to have a great career. Obviously, to me, So, but yeah, it's tough, man. Sports are tough. Sports is always a margin for error. There's a margin for injury. It's just luck. A lot of it is luck. You know, part of luck plays in any sport.
I love this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree.
I was just gonna say, you know, we could use the old phrase: if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, motherfucker, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. I don't know what to tell you. Like it just is what it is.
I never heard that.
I am too flunk cam. AWA says Paul Pierce owned Kobe mentally. LOL. 5 rings to 1. Motherfucker, they didn't play each other every goddamn year in the finals. What the fuck you doing?
But Paul Pierce literally held
LeBron. Paul Pierce had LeBron mentally as well till LeBron finally beat them in the playoffs that year and came back. That was no one was Kobe's bullshit. Pierce owned Kobe. Yeah.
No, he didn't. He really didn't. And that one game, that Meta World Peace, someone was saying they didn't like that Kobe still got MVP. You need to go look at the entirety of the series. Kobe was everybody's daddy that entire series. He just had one bad game. But even in a bad game, you know what Kobe did? Kobe had 18 fucking rebounds. He goes, if I can't shoot the ball, I'm gonna make sure somebody else shooting the motherfucking ball. Like that's what the great ones do. If you realize the one thing you can always rely on is not there for you, you figure out how to be fucking reliable in another way. And Kobe fucking went off and deserved that MVP.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Oh, this is a good one. What if Len Bias hadn't OD'd? Yeah, that's
really oh man, Celtics.
It's Infinity Bell says, what if Tom Brady hadn't deflated balls against my Colts? That's fair.
No, those balls were barely deflated, and Aaron Rodgers likes his ball overinflated. How do you like that? So that's nothing. That's like saying a player's glove is too soft.
I don't know, JT. That's like saying that's literally like we all like a little whiskey before we have sex and whatnot. But like if you have too much whiskey and it gets a little too deflated, ain't nobody playing with nothing. So you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta. There is a balance, my friend.
That's true. That's a very good point. Gardo Cervantes says, "What if Eli played for San Diego?" Yeah, I don't think he has Super Bowls. I'll be honest with you. Not with San Diego. Tom Coughlin and him were just a marriage perfectly made for that time. He was the right coach at the right time for this kid. I don't think there was anyone in San Diego who was going to take Eli to a Super Bowl.
I think that's part of it, but I think the bigger thing, especially when Eli came in, I know that the Chargers did have a really strong defense from time to time, but that Giants defense, especially that first one, Giants defense led by Strahan was insane. It was an insane defense.
on the road, Winston, winning all those games. Yeah,
I still argue that while Eli did what he needed to do, and obviously you had the crazy fucking helmet catch and all that shit, Eli didn't win that game. The Giants defense won that game because they held Brady to. Remember, didn't Brady, because that was the undefeated team, and you would know better not to bring up trauma, JT. But then he was like, we go hit 60 on him. It's me and Randy Moss, and like, whatever, we'll be fine. And then Strahan and his team got in that ass. Like, that's who won that game. Let's be real.
I also think going forward, the undefeated just wore that team down. Sometimes I think it's better to lose a game or two during the season because you learn from it, and you become a better team because of it.
I think that's why the Saints won their Super Bowl. I think that's why the Warriors lost that 3-1 lead is because they broke the record that year and then were probably gassed as shit on top of having to make a 3-1 comeback on OKC. So clearly they were already gassed, getting whooped that bad, and then kind of dug deep. I think that's why, honestly, Gonzaga lost. I think Gonzaga left everything on the floor with UCLA and that release of, oh my God, I can't believe we did it. But Baylor's like, ain't nobody been paying attention to us, okay? And you tired, bitch. All right, let's go. Come on. Like, that's essentially what that was.
The worst thing a team that claims that nobody believes in us can play is a team that really nobody believes in. That's the worst thing that can happen because they will trump your season and trump your play immediedely and take it. And they kicked the shit out of Gonzaga. That was shocking to see how much they kicked the shit out of Gonzaga.
Yeah, they beat them down.
Where's Afro? Yeah, what if the Patriots didn't take people's practices? Oh,
he's just taking shots. Someone's just taking shots right now.
What if Chris Webber stayed with the Warriors? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Who knows?
What if Webber didn't call timeout?
Oh.
So, I mean, there's so many things you can say. So many things you can say.
Now you just knocked
Fab Five's great, but you can say that for every team.
If Weber hadn't called that timeout, you're right. If they, because they win a national, there's no way they lose to North Carolina if he doesn't call that timeout. There's just no way. All right, let's see what else we got here rolling through. Christine says, if you told 10-year-old me that there would be an Aussie world champion crowned at WrestleMania, I might have trained to become a wrestler. In all seriousness, I'm so proud of Rhea Ripley, and I'm even prouder of Bronson and Indy. Yeah, the Aussies. Yeah, there you go. Much love to them, that's for sure. Let's see if we got any more. Oh, yeah. Hill Nellum said the past few years, Mania has been 7 to 8 hours, so it becomes just a slog, even if the matches are good. Splitting it into 2 nights, give the wrestlers more time, making for better matches. So I think it's not about just getting every wrestler on the show. It's also giving them time and space to create the best match possible. I don't disagree with that at all. All right, let's see. Keep sending in your Streamlabs and super chats as we go along. We've got about 40 minutes left in the show. Let's jump into some other sports news here while we can. And we want to do a Q&A, so send in your stuff. That's what we're doing here today. So any question you got about sports, send it in. The address is right above in the middle there, and it's also in the pin to the chat and in the description. Let's get it going. What's that?
What if Lil Nas X wasn't treated with some old bullshit and not told that his song didn't count as country, so he called up Billy Ray Cyrus and then actually became the #1 motherfucking song in the world? And fuck, man.
That's a good point. Absolutely. Listen, let's take a look at this thing. The Masters happened over the weekend. I know a lot of people are going to ding us for not bringing it up first, but let me just bring it up now. Hideki Matsuyama won. It was the first Japanese male golfer from Japan to win a major championship. I'm saying that in 2021. Pretty incredible. Post-World War II Japan, golf became massive through the decades and really hit its height in the 80s at the height of golf for Japan there. So this has been coming for quite some time. He's only 29 years old. He closed with a 1/73 and a one-shot victory that was close only at the end, but he was never seriously challenged. So he essentially was just kind of stomping through this all the way through. Obviously, Tiger's half Asian, but this is full Japanese gentleman here. Well, first ever to win the Masters. JT, did you see any of this? Were you surprised by any of this? A pretty incredible accomplishment overall for the country, for sure.
I think it's great, but I don't really follow golf unless Tiger's crashing a car into a tree or off the side of a hill. I have no idea what's going on in golf. That's the only time I know. Breaking news, Tiger crashed. It's the last 2 times I got in golf.
Fair enough.
Last 2 times he crashed his car. But I know a lot of people love golf. I just never got into it.
Got it. Well, there was a lot of pressure. Matsuyama talked about the fact that the COVID restrictions really helped him because he is so heralded out of Japan since he was a junior. Even Jack Nicklaus in 2014 at a tournament kind of crowned this kid as the second coming of greatness. And the Japanese press follow. He said it makes it really, really hard to play, puts a lot of pressure on him. In the amateur championship, I think he bogeyed his last 5 holes and lost the championship, and apparently just burst out weeping on TV talking about it because of the pressure and the stress. So much so that he hid his marriage from the Japanese press and the birth of his first child from the Japanese press so that he could have some time with those moments and cherish them without being bombarded by the press. And he certainly said that this time around at the Masters, having less Japanese media there kind of relaxed him as he played. So you never know if maybe that was the issue. He still bogeyed 3 out of his last 4 holes, but still won. So congratulations to him for sure. Any thoughts on this, Winston? Were you able to see any of this? Any thoughts on the Masters or golf at all?
I mean, I'll be honest. I got into golf because of Tiger.
Sure.
And since him not being around anymore, I don't care as much. But just being honest, like my dad, like the whole reason I cared is because my dad was like, "Look at this, son. Like he's making history. This is the first. Look at this black man coming in here and doing fucking work. Like maybe the greatest golfer ever. Like by the time this is over." That got me excited about it. When he disappeared, I didn't care enough about the sport to keep following. I follow it a little bit because it's my dad's favorite sport, but not enough to be like, wow. But I think at the fact that you are seeing the first Japanese golfer like win this, I mean, that's huge in any form or fashion. The same way that Osaka out here coming in and doing it half Jamaican, half Japanese, winning all these majors. Especially against Serena, who has almost become like a mentor, maybe not really because they're kind of rivals, but like there's this passing of the torch that's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like that's super intriguing. But for me, I think what would be more like while this win is massive, if he keeps doing it, like there's no golfers that like, damn, they won just like back to back to back to back to back to back back. You know what I'm saying? And that was the thing about Tiger that made him interesting as well. Not only being black, but the fact that he just kept winning. A lot of these guys stay in the conversation, but don't dominate. And I think that's the only way you're going to get to get casual fans and below to watch is to watch someone dominate. Is she half Haitian? I am so sorry. I apologize. I thought she was half Jamaican. I apologize. She's half Haitian. That's my fault. I mean, no disrespect to her family or to Haitian people at all. I thought she was Jamaican. I apologize.
All right, there you go. Well said. Yeah, and one last thing. He was 40-1 or 60-1 to win the Masters. So if you bet $1,000, you would have made $60,000 off that, ladies and gentlemen. So just letting you know, in your mind. Next time maybe bet for the long shots. You just never know what can happen.
Can I just say, golf? It's so hard to when I watch a basketball player, but football player, you see the athletic, you see the skill. Oh, yeah. When I see somebody hit a golf club and they hit it perfectly, it's like some weird magic is happening. Like how is I guess they have to know their bodies so well, and their mechanics have to just to be so good to hit the ball to get exactly where you want it to go, which is a much different. It's hard to call it an athlete, even though I know they are in some ways. Right. But it's more just like a skill than it is an athletic thing. I guess maybe that's why I just never connected to golf.
But you could make the same argument with quarterbacks. Like a lot of them aren't really running and shit. It's the ability to get the ball to go exactly where you want it, and also to calculate things at the same time. How many things are golfers calculating? Come on. You said about getting the ball to do it exactly.
You got to worry about 5 guys coming to destroy you. If there was a guy with a stopwatch and they said, Tiger, you got 10 seconds to hit this ball, and this linebacker's coming at you full steam, then I would be more impressed.
But I get it. There's that fear and whatnot, but I still look at when you do either pro days or you do the skills challenge, how somebody's skills are just boo-boo trash. Like how many quarterbacks are just they got the wheels. So they have an occasionally good throw, or they can bomb it super deep, but they can't. They got accuracy. They got accuracy to save their lives. I think that anybody that can do anything to a specific just needle point like that is an athlete. Because I make that same argument about chess players. They are 1,000% athletes. They're mental athletes, but they are athletes because you're having to think 25, 30 moves ahead about how shit is going. That's insane. That is absolutely insane.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point. A lot of skill involved in sports. I think it's all relative to whatever you're able to do physically and mentally when you play the sport. Certainly there's all kinds of moving parts to this. Real quick, I'm putting this in for Cheryl because I know she's a big hockey fan. Of course, I'm a Capitals fan. This is coming over the wire now on ESPN. The Washington Capitals have acquired Detroit Red Wings winger Anthony Mantha in a blockbuster deal ahead of Monday's NHL trade deadline. That's today. The Capitals sent the Red Wings forwards Jacob Vrana and Richard Panik, as well as a 2021 first-round pick and a 2022 first-round pick. Jesus. Mantha was the 2013 first-round pick of the Red Wings, has scored 95 goals and 99 assists for 194 points in 302 career games. Detroit is poised to miss the postseason for the 5th straight season, which is insane because Detroit had been to the playoffs for 25 straight years before this happened, these last 5 years. So really interesting. So now he is going to the Capitals. Maybe the Capitals once again don't choke out in the first round and actually get to the Stanley Cup and maybe win it one more time in my lifetime. Having them win it the first time a couple of years ago was everything. It was incredible for a guy who'd been a fan of the Caps since the 80s, the Rod Langway days when he didn't play with a fucking helmet. That's how old I go, all the way back to cheer for the Capitals. So the fact they finally won one was great, and it was great for Ovechkin as well. So it'll be fun to see if they can get it done again this year, but hell of a move for them. We'll see if it pays off. JT, are you a Boston Bruins? Do you follow hockey at all?
I was a Hartford Whalers fan. I used to be in Connecticut, so I used to go to games with my uncle. But once the Whalers left, so did my any interest I had in hockey. And
great
never carried over.
I love that logo, the Whalers. I bought a shirt the other day. Any thoughts there, Winston, on hockey or the Capitals or anything? Okay. All right.
Well, what was the? Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can find it real fast. I will show you my response. I gotta find it first. Hold on. So you can move on until I get it.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. I want to see how many. I think it's a lot, isn't it? How many are we at? 90%. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Let's jump into the other thing. And please keep sending in your questions, ladies and gentlemen. This is a Q&A. So send in your questions. We'll talk about it for sure and get into it. here on the show. I don't see any new Streamlabs or Super Chats, so please send them in before we wrap up in the next 30 minutes. Let's move on, sadly, into the Deshaun Watson situation. We've been following this for the last few weeks, but there are new updates. We're not rehashing what's already been before, except to tell you that the number of the lawsuits has increased now, I think, to 22, possibly 25. From last I heard, rumored to jump up to 25. Since the last we talked about it last week, 18 women came forward and signed affidavits saying that they had no issues with Deshaun Watson. They're massage therapists themselves, or was it, or people getting their hours, and they had massages with Deshaun Watson and had no issues with it. But we also had a young lady come forward. Two women came forward and spoke about the situation. One of them in a press conference, for sure. Ashley Solis, she came forward and spoke about it and said that she had filed a criminal complaint. She's the first one to speak about it. She said, "I hope every woman or man out there who is a survivor hears my story, and I hope my story gives them courage to speak out. It has taken me a long time to get to this point, to come out publicly and speak my truth. I was afraid anymore, and I am not afraid anymore, and I do exist. I'm here to take the power back and take control. I am a survivor of assault and harassment. Deshaun Watson is my assaulter and my harasser." Very powerful statement. And right after she said that, Beats by Dre, Nike, and a number of other sponsors either suspended their connections with Deshaun Watson or released him from their representation contracts so that he wouldn't represent their brands anymore. So this is starting to gather some serious steam. And now the judge just ruled, I think this morning or yesterday, that all 22 women must now reveal their names publicly to Deshaun Watson and his attorney so that they can start to do investigations and due diligence and construct a defense. However way you cut this, the big question has to be, why the fuck does this guy need so many massages from so many different people? Like, if you add the 22 plus 18, that's 40 different people who have massaged Deshaun Watson. And I'm sure that's not even all of them. So this is maddening on so many levels, and how nobody in the Texans organization had an idea that this was going on, I don't want to believe. And that statement they released is nice for brand saving for the Houston Texans, but they have some responsibility here too. What do you guys think about all this news popping up over the last 7 days?
Deshaun Watson's lawyer coming out and saying that there were sexual encounters and that they were consensual.
They were consensual, yes.
And it's like, okay, well, so maybe now, like, where he didn't say that straight from the get-go. That came out just recently. And to me, the one I always, when I read all these new articles, I always think of the one lady who was one of the first people to experience this is not with the lawyer who's representing all these people. Mm-hmm. She doesn't even have a lawsuit going out right now. She said she's not even sure if she wants to do a lawsuit, but she just said, I can't, when she heard the news, she couldn't believe that what he did to her sounds like was the beginning and became more and more aggressive with the way he treated these people. And then, he releases 18 women who are like, they're nothing but professional. He was nothing but professional. It's like, okay, well, he didn't do it to every single woman. But and also they also said another thing I read, why is he going to so many people? A lot of professionals who are masseuses say usually you get 3 or 4 that you like and you trust that you want to work with. The fact that he is going out and Instagramming like 40 women to like try to, it looks like he was looking for something more than massage. I mean, come on. I mean, on the surface, it does look good.
And he's supposed to be getting married here, Winston. He's, he was eating, and according to the timeline, I read a number of articles, like he was doing charity events in between these moments. He was having these massage moments with these women, then going off to do team activities on the same day.
And telling them to sign an NDA. Why are you telling your masseuse to sign an NDA?
The casualness of this is really kind of striking. What is your feeling about this, Winston, overall, as you're hearing more and more of the details coming out and the defense kind of setting themselves up here?
Is he telling his dentist to sign an NDA? Like, what? I don't get it.
What do you think?
I mean, the whole thing with the masseuse specifically, and again, where this looks shady is that because you're dealing with potential injuries, because you're dealing with trying to heal the body, you need someone that is familiar with what's going on with you. On top of the fact that you being the star quarterback of an NFL franchise, meaning you have an entire training staff to work with you, let's just say you do keep your own a small team of masseuses on deck in case one can't do something or whatever else, like they're not available. That I understand. But the one thing that always looked weird about this, regardless of how it was all playing out, was the sheer volume.
Yeah.
The sheer volume. On top of the fact that, it's also interesting that, some of the best masseuses that most men will use anyway are going to be other men because of the fear power
That's
in
a great
which
point. Yes.
it can get into your muscle groups and stuff like that. So,
also, real quick, some of these women are even professionals. They're like, one was a student, and they've even said, listen, I can do this for you, but I'm not like a professional masseuse. I'm kind of just starting out. If you're a pro athlete, why are you not going to professional masseuses?
Yeah.
Sorry, so I can go.
No. I agree, and it's. I still kind of stand. I mean, things are coming out, I think, as far as a statement of the judge saying they have to come forth. I don't have a problem with maybe keeping anonymous from the press, but Deshaun and the lawyer have a right to know who they are because I am
to confront your accuser.
Right. You have a right to confront your accuser and know who's so I think that is correct, but I wish there was a way that we could defend them from the public just because they are getting death threats, as is known to happen, unfortunately, to women that come out against powerful people because you're trying to take my quarterback away from me. I'll keep that's not appropriate.
Right.
But I stand by the same place that I was last week, a couple weeks ago, until this has really had a chance to fully play out all of the evidence, everything else like that. I am taking in all the information, and I'm withholding any sort of judgment and whatnot, just because there's too much on the line, as far as these women's safety and how they've been violated and everything like that. And you already see how people are treating them, Deshaun's career. So if this is some sort of big squeeze play on him, how that's affecting him and a black man, especially a black celebrity in that regard, it is just, there's too many things involved where I am actively listening to every single thing, but I am just waiting until this starts to play out in the court of law. That is where I personally am at with this.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And you can't, just like you can't remove how many times he's gone to a masseuse, you also can't remove that this is happening in Texas. This is a black man who wanted to leave an organization. You have to look at all the factors involved here. It doesn't discount anything. Just looking at it on a bigger and bigger picture, this thing gets more and more crazy and unsettling the deeper you go into hearing this, because you really have to question Deshaun Watson's judgment in this entire situation. As a premier quarterback in the NFL, why are you putting your body in the hands of someone who isn't even licensed to do what they are doing? That's the crazy part. Why would you risk further injury or any issues putting your hands on someone who is not a licensed professional? I think that's
because if you look at that too, you can, for example, get cheaper haircuts or cheaper dental work. If you go to a dental school or a salon school or something that, you can get cheaper, whatever, but they are being supervised by a licensed professional.
Right.
The same thing is true for masseuses. You can go to masseuse schools where you get a cheaper massage because they're trying to learn, but they are being supervised by somebody else.
Yeah.
So for him to seek out women that were not licensed, that were still just learning, barely on that, there's too many things in there that this just looks so fucking shady.
In their own homes. In their own homes as well.
The fact that he traveled hours, I'll do it at your mama's house. Just give me the massage. Bro.
Yeah. What is happening here? And to be fair, to give the other side of this thing, of course, there also Watson's attorney, Rusty Hardin, released a batch of emails between that young lady, Miss Elise, and her comments. And according to the documentation, apparently her attorney sought $100,000 in hush money. It is quoted here in the email, and this is from February 9th of 2021. My client's demand is $100,000. This is Busby's associate, Cornelia Branfield Harvey, wrote in an email on behalf of Ms. Elise. She followed up with a clarification of the $100,000 demand later that same day, saying this offer remains open until Friday of this week. Mr. Watson, representative who engaged in discussions with Mr. Busby and his firm, is Scott Gaffield, who's general counsel there. Gaffield responded to Mr. Busby and Ms. Branfield Harvey by inquiring, quote, the rationale behind the 100K demand. We don't believe that the alleged facts show that Deshaun did anything wrong. They responded back, we made a legitimate demand. You rejected it. We won't be making any other bid against ourselves. This is Houston, Texas. Perhaps you should find him a lawyer here so you can apprise both you and your client of the landscape here and who you are dealing with. So that's a threatening email from the lawyer there in this situation. So this is fascinating. The lawyer for the woman here responded with that kind of thing that's a bit threatening in its language. So
I'll tell you the thing that I hate the most about this, because again, if you want to ask me where I'm leaning more towards, leaning more towards, because of how just crazy fishy this looks, that there is some truth to this, whether every single accusation is on point. I'm more inclined to lean in that direction. What I hate yes, that's kind of what does it. But what upsets me about this the most is that it's that of all the people really getting the business right now, like, no pun intended, not trying to use any weird colloquialism, but I can't think of anything else. It's these women that are really kind of suffering because it's turning into a circus.
Oh yeah.
That's the thing that bothers me the most, is that this is not giving them an opportunity for them to truly like exercise this demon from their life and move on. Is that this is turning into a complete circus. And that's the thing I think that is the most disappointing and sad about this.
What's your thoughts, JT, on all this?
Yeah, you know, it's, for me, it's like not all these women know each other. They're not like, hey, let's get together. And one started it and a domino effect has followed. Once one person came through, and this happens a lot of cases like this, once one person, now maybe the whole thing about her extorting, that could be true. But that doesn't mean every girl that he, also filed after her did the same thing. I think, but for a fact, we know they didn't. But as soon as that gate is opened, and the history kind of follows you, and I think that's what's happening. I think maybe that one person did try to extort him, but she went ahead and went forward, and all these other people. And this is the same thing the lady said when she saw the news break. She said, "Oh my God, it wasn't just me." Right. And it shows a pattern. There's a pattern here. I think the fact that he was hooking up with masseuses. How many did he hook up with? We don't even know the number. So like, he was not treating this as a business transaction as it should have been. Because who are these women he did hook up with? And why was it during them? So what's going on there?
and I want to see the NFL be a bit more proactive in this situation, and not be not be just like sitting back waiting for this thing to play out. You need to be up in, and Goodell won't do this because he worships at the altar of the owners, but Goodell should be up in McNair's business or in the owner of the Texans business to find out,
or Deshaun's business,
or Deshaun. You're right. They should be going around interviewing. They should be launching their own investigation on this, because they have a right. Within the collective bargaining agreement, they have a right to do their own investigation into this situation and talk to people with the Texas organization, give people immunity so they can get actual truths out here and make their decision. Because if the Texans bear some responsibilities, knew this was going on, shoved it under the rug to protect their quarterback, then they need to be called to justice by the NFL as well, whether it's fines or draft picks or what have you. This needs to be getting called out, because once again, the NFL cannot fucking have Breast Cancer Awareness Month, have all these staged things where the wives are surprised by their husbands coming back from the military or war or whatever, and then also turn around and not give a shit when Ray Rice kicks the shit out of his fiance, when rapes happen, Greg Hardy, all the dude for the Seahawks, and then what we have here, if it turns out to be true, it's more than just the players that need to bear the weight of this, the organizations themselves. And that's the shit that I'm tired of seeing in the NFL. Leave the player out to dry always, and the organization is just to go, fuck it, we didn't know. Bye-bye. Here's Tom Brady, or here's Patrick Mahomes.
I'll make the argument, though, that this is something that the NFL is a massive perpetrator, but this is something we need to look at as a society as a whole, man. I mean, look at all the stuff with Matt Gates and all that shit that's going on with that. I mean,
so true.
Obviously we had the whole grab him by the pussy thing. Like there's a litany of different people, specifically men in power, that take advantage of this situation, and they don't get held accountable. So it's something that we as a society need to address and look at, of like, that needs to happen across the board. You know what I mean?
Right. And we need to call out women who are providing cover for these men, like that organization did over the weekend for Matt Gaetz, that Women for America First organization, letting him speak, letting him be at their event, letting him represent their event, which is in essence saying whatever he did, we're okay with it because we want to have this guy in power. This is an issue as well. So across the board, there needs to be stronger movements made or decisions made.
I mean, not to round anything up, but Robert Kraft.
Robert Kraft. That's a fair point.
Like,
I think there was. He went to a place where he knew what he was going to get. Is what I'm saying. He didn't hit somebody up on Instagram who's a student. Hey, you want to come over?
Yeah.
I think he went to a shady establishment.
There is a difference. I'm not going to pretend like there isn't. There is a difference, but they're both like,
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, totally.
And there was human trafficking going on at that salon. You told me that rich off his ass motherfucker doesn't know what's going on. And every place he goes into doesn't have people vet places.
I don't understand.
Dumb, if nothing else.
A lot of dumbness with these men. I don't get it.
Yeah, you can bring women to your house, for ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. Or
can we lighten the mood, and I'll show you how I feel when you were asking me what I felt about hockey.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, you let me know when it's on the screen, and I will show.
Oh, you want to share? All right, there we go.
Yeah. Here you go.
Don't play the thing. We're gonna get.
Okay,
it's real quick.
Here with... Can you turn around so I can get a name? Yes, that is a S, a K, and a J all next to each other. So that's a no.
That is my stance on hockey. No, that is a nope.
That's totally understandable.
I will say I'm enjoying the new Mighty Ducks show on Disney Plus.
Are you really?
I'm enjoying it. It's fun.
Okay,
it's got the same spirit as the original.
Nice. Right. Okay.
No one watches it. What is going on, you guys? Y'all watch it? You watch Falcon Winter Soldier, or then you watch Mighty Ducks? They're right next to each other. Unbelievable.
Sorry, Pally. That's not. I didn't grow up with the Ducks. I didn't grow up. I
don't know what Disney Plus is trying to do, because they definitely make the first thing that pops up is Mighty Ducks, and I think they do it because they know. Move that. Where is Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I like both shows. They're totally different, obviously, but I like Mighty Ducks. I guess you have to be a fan of the movie.
You do.
I love the movies. It's just been so long that I always loved it as a kid. But I guess there are other properties as a kid that I was like more attached to. So like I think about how the reboot of DuckTales, when they announced that, I was like, oh my god, like you know, like so.
Totally understand,
all right, we got a couple more questions that have come through here. Gentleman Scientist said, our thoughts on the 17-game NFL season. I'm kind of surprised they won't add more bye weeks. As a diehard NFL fan, I watch 3 to 5 games a week, regardless of team. If my team had 2 bye weeks, I'd watch more NFL games. Why not make it 17 games over 19 weeks? Yeah, what do you guys think? It's a good question.
Yeah, anything that extends the season is good in my book.
Yeah,
I also think if you're like my major complaint, if you're gonna do this, you are just asking for someone to get really seriously fucking hurt. That's an extra week of people putting their bodies on the line, let alone the people that do make the playoffs. So they play that extra game, and then on top of that, then are still required to play all of the playoff games that they would play. Like it's just give them that extra bye week. You get to extend out football. That's an extra week's worth of revenue that I know the NFL wanted in the first place. Hence having a 17th game. Like, at least let them fucking rest, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You got to remember, most teams don't make it to the playoffs. So, you know, I don't think 1 week is going to cause that much wear and tear compared to, you know, a lot of these teams.
Add it up, though. Add it up.
What do you mean?
Over the course of a career.
Over the course of a career. A lot of these players who don't get to play one extra game every year wish they could because they want to make it to the playoffs. It hurts the teams that maybe who go to playoffs if someone gets injured. But the NFL, no season goes on without at least 1 or 2 of your major players getting hurt. It happens to almost every team.
I'm just saying you're going to really.
Let me ask you this: we're from 16 to 15. Do you think it's going to be that big of a difference?
Look, man, all I'm going to say is
week 2.
All I'm going to say is, JT, you're going to be taking that back. And then this what if they asked us, like, man, what if we didn't have that 17th game and the Cowboys didn't crush Cam Newton, and then all of a sudden Cam Newton can't play in the playoffs and we fucking get bounced out that bitch.
Hey.
I'm just saying, bro.
It comes with the territory, man. It comes with the territory. It can easily happen in the 16th game.
That's true. That's a fair point. It can happen anytime. That's for sure. We got one more question here, but ladies and gentlemen, please hit that like button. We haven't crossed 100 likes. I don't understand. We got 150 people watching us consistently for the last hour and 45 minutes.
I'm going to go like it right now.
Hit that like button. Get us over 100 likes. Get us under 200. If it's your first time on YouTube, swing the cursor over. Hit that thumbs up button, for God's sake. That's the like button. So just giving you a little bit of tips here. Cheryl donated. Thank you, Cheryl. She said, just look at the situation with USA Gymnastics. Women and girls tried to come forward. National players, world champions, Olympic champions. Even though so many came forward, the establishment and society is not taking these situations seriously. Yeah, that's a fair point, Cheryl. If you guys have watched the documentaries, the HBO documentary is chilling about Larry Nassar. I haven't watched Athlete A on Netflix, but apparently it's even more brutally truthful about what happened. So I'm looking forward to watching that just to understand. But sure, it's certainly true. And Winston, I think, nailed it. We need multiple women, sadly, to come forward before anyone gets believed, and and the stories have to be so graphic, and they have to be so how can I say this, unblemished, that then we get to start to believe them. So it's a really interesting, not interesting in a good way, situation, certainly for women in this society. And hopefully that does change as more and more of this happens, as we're post Black Lives, post Me Too. Not that those issues have been solved, but post the movements waking people up finally once and for all to it en masse. Hopefully this doesn't become the pattern going forward. And I think the move to buy Watson's people to be like, well, some of the sex was consensual, is them backing slowly away from the situation and preparing to accept whatever judgment ends up coming down at his expense, for sure. What do you guys think about about what Cheryl is saying, real quick?
I mean, kind of the same thing I had said earlier. Like that's the problem. There's a massive overhaul that needs to happen in general, and I agree. Like, you're dealing with a slightly different situation talking about like Ray Fisher and then charisma coming in. But in most of these cases, you essentially need multiple things before someone starts to pay attention, which is super fucking shitty. Yeah. If one person had come and said, this is what Deshaun Watson did to me, and he did it, then that needs to be treated the same way as if a slew of women come out and say, like, you know what I'm saying? Like if it happened, then that person needs to be punished, and the person that it happened to needs to receive justice in that regard. If it didn't happen, then it didn't, but we need to be taking all of it seriously when we hear it. That's the problem, is that we don't immediately take it seriously one way or the other and then let it play out. And that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. All right, let's see here. See if we got any more that have floated in here. Any other questions that have come through? You guys have any other comments you want to throw in? I'm seeing just now over ESPN that a federal judge has approved a partial deal between the players of the women's national team and the United States Soccer Federation over unequal working conditions. R. Gary Klausner, the U.S. District Judge for the Central District of California, notified both parties of his approval of the settlement. These working conditions include the use of charter flights for travel, venue selection, the number of support staff, and hotel accommodations. And already they're speculating, by having this approved, this has opened the door for the women's national team to appeal what happened earlier, where the judge ruled against them in the equal pay settlement. So that may be, or it's equal pay case. So that may be what happens next. So positive news for the women's national team for sure, and what needs to happen, because it is a ridiculous situation that they haven't the equal pay stuff here in this side of things. The men's team didn't even fucking make the World Cup.
It's ridiculous.
What are we talking about here?
Or the Olympics.
Yeah,
for the third time they didn't make the Olympics.
Oh my God.
I was so mad watching that. Anyway, I don't want to get too into it. All right. Anything you guys want to talk about, or should we wrap it up here? I don't see any other questions in the chat. Any other sports news you guys want to bring up that we can hash out here?
If there's something that that y'all could think of, I've got to help a homie do a self tape, so I'm chilling one way or the other. If we're good, or if you got something else, I'm down to talk. He's not gonna be here till 4, but it'll give me time to set up, so I don't care.
No. I mean, I don't think there's much else to talk about here that I'm seeing over the sports wires. JT, anything you want to throw in?
No, just Edelman, great player. Miss him. I love him as a Patriot. I'm gonna miss him. Hope he finds success in retirement.
Yep. Belichick just issued a statement about it. Very
positive. No, what did he say?
For sure. He just said, hardworking guy, incredible to be having part of the team, and certainly wish him the greatest of success going forward.
100%.
Yeah, what were you saying?
So, I just see it. So Steph Curry is apparently only 18 points away from passing Wilt Chamberlain as the #1 Warriors all-time scorer.
Woo.
So that's super fucking interesting and kind of crazy. And I think the other thing that's going to be kind of interesting with Steph in that regard, we can do this as a quick like last one. How high do you think he'll make it on the scoring list? Because I think he might crack a couple of them. He might crack LeBron. He might crack Kobe. Like, especially since he does, like, obviously he clips at a higher level, hitting 3-pointers all the time.
Yep.
I don't know, man. Shit.
I think if they get him if Clay comes back healthy and they get him the right, because Weissman now looks like he's out for the season. If they get him some great help going into next season, because I don't see the Warriors making the playoffs now in any scenario without Weissman there. I think he will absolutely do what you're talking about, Winston, crack a lot of, because he is just, even now on this team that is kind of a 50% good team, 50% crap team, he is pumping out points like crazy. So you start to create more space for him as you get better shooters on the team next year. He is going to be lights out all over again. So, yeah, they'll go on a second run. I think they'll go on a second dynasty run, the Warriors. That's certainly possible. What do you think, JT?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you got Steph Curry, man, you got a chance. The guy could take over a game. It sucks about Wiseman. Clay, how long is it going to be until he is what he was, or can he ever be what he was? But listen, Steph Curry is a generational player, and as long as you got him, you got hope.
Yeah, that's true. One last bit of news here real quick. I forgot to bring this up. Apparently Kevin James is going to be playing Sean Payton in a film. This is not a lie.
That was dumb.
This is not a lie. Sean Payton it's a Netflix movie that they're doing, and it's essentially a film about the year that Sean Payton was suspended from the NFL after the Bountygate situation, and he spent his time coaching his son's 6th grade football team in 2012. It's going to be called Home Team, and I think Sandler, it's through Sandler's production company of Happy Madison, and they have produced 8 movies with James starring in them or appearing in them. But yeah, it's basically a big name head coach spends a year reevaluating his life and coaching his young football team while he's serving suspension for one of NFL's most notorious scandals. So based on a true story, but Kevin James doesn't look a damn thing like Sean Payton, other than they're both white. So I don't know how that makes any sense at all. What do you guys think? No?
Did Sean lose a bunch of weight we don't know about or something? Like, I don't like.
You mean Kevin or Sean?
No, Sean. Like, was Sean like heavy back in the day?
Yeah, right.
And dropped a bunch of. Otherwise, I don't what?
What bet did he lose? Like, what happened? If I'm Sean Payton, I'm like, really? I was like, Moneyball gets Brad Pitt. You're giving me Kevin James? Come on, man.
Really big against Brad Pitt.
Unbelievable. It's just a hit to the ego, man.
Oh, that's for sure. But I mean, Kevin James is becoming a damn good dramatic actor. I don't know if you guys have seen some of his latest stuff, but outside of the Adam Sandler stuff, he's actually pretty good. I mean, I watched The Crew, 2 episodes of The Crew. That is a terrible Netflix show. Please do not watch that show.
I've not seen it.
Oh, it's absolutely horrible. But there was a couple other things where he's like kind of showing what he can do. So who knows? Down the road, maybe this is a moment for him to show what he can do as an actor. But I don't know. I don't see him look like Sean Payton at all. Oof. All right. Anyways, is Adam Sandler only if Adam Sandler plays Greg Williams? I think that would be fucking brilliant to see him in the hair and the sunglasses. That would be the best. All right. Let's get out of here. All right. Thank you everybody for watching this live episode of Game Time. Appreciate all the questions. Thanks for all the Super Chat Super Chat Streamlabs that you sent in. Really appreciate that madly. You guys are the best. Thank you to Winston A. Marshall. Winston, where can they find you, my man? Everything going on?
You can find me down below. My name's right below me at the Swaggy Blurred. I think it is. Is it still there?
Yeah,
it's still there. At the Swaggy Blurred. You can find me Twitter, Instagram, all the good stuff. I will be on SEN tomorrow and Wednesday, so you can find me over there. I will be on Blurreds in the Hood every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific, with my co-host, Mr. Jay Washington. And then Fridays, 9 a.m., I do the Inner Geekdom show. We at this point are currently picking whatever the hot, nerdy show that's out, and we do full breakdown reviews. We're on to the second to last episode of Falcon the Winter Soldier, episode 5, this Friday, with none other than Christian Harloff, Mr. Schmo himself. He will be joining us this Friday. And the following Friday, we'll be having Mr. Movies, Mr. Dan Murrell will be joining me for the season finale. So two big guests that I'm sure you've heard of on the internet before that you don't want to miss what they have to know about,
for sure. Nice choices. Nice
choices.
Yep. JT, what do you got, brother? Where can they find you?
JT Movie Thinks on Twitter, and look out for Words in the Suburbs. Still working on it.
What is that? What?
WERDS, Words in the Suburbs.
We don't even. The funny thing is, I was talking to Jay afterwards, and I was like, "Should we be offended?" We were like, "Nah, that's actually kind of funny." Bro. Like,
it's
Words in the Suburbs.
For sure. You ain't gonna be living in no suburbs where you told us.
No, not soon.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So
that's true.
Have to change the title.
Got to change the title. Damn it.
But again, thanks guys for joining us. Appreciate it madly. Please remember to give this video a like. Please remember to leave a comment down below, and more than anything else, share it. I know not everybody can donate, but we appreciate the ones who can. But if you can't, at least sharing it, telling people about it, getting more people to watch our show or listen to our show would be great. And by listen, I do mean the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network. Everything we do here is available on the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network. So if you don't want to watch our pretty faces on any of the shows I do, you can always listen to them, except for Geek Buddies. That's a separate feed on the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network. Thank you all so much. Take care of yourselves. I hope you're getting vaccinated. I'm finally getting my first shot tomorrow.
Yay,
so take care of yourselves. Yeah, finally. Fuck, it took forever. Practice your social distancing, wear your mask, and then come back and see us next week live for another brand new episode of Game Time. Peace.